Hey everybody, it's Matt Williams, host of the Drone Business Show. Welcome to today's episode. Today we are joined by the incredible John Parsons from StunningDrone.com. It's great to have you on, John. Thank you for joining us today. John's story, again, as all of the stories that we try and bring to you on the show here, is absolutely incredible, to be honest. John and I've been watching for a long time. John's a host on the Drone Show Live, which, if I get it correct, is on Wednesday evenings at 8 o'clock UK time on the YouTube channel. Right. So we'll drop a link to that below. Well worth a watch. And I'll be joining them, if you listen to this live, I'll be joining them in the new year, so at the start of 2026, hopefully. But great to have you on, mate. I think the story and the journey that you've been on, including actually the experience that you've brought from your previous business experience, is really interesting. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, mate, and just letting us know who you are, where'd you come from, and where we can find you, and we'll go from there.
Brilliant. Well, my name is John Parsons. The company is called StunningDrone.com. I've been going for about 2 years now. Predominantly it was hobbyist, as we've discussed before, off camera. And before that, I had a media business for about 8 years. And I live on the south coast in Bournemouth, which is a lovely part of the country. And it helps me a great deal whenever I started my YouTube channel with the cinematic videos, because if you can't get some beautiful shots down in the Durdle Door and the Jurassic Coast and so on, then you're never going to get anywhere else. So I am lucky where I live. So I've got some amazing countryside and footage that I can gain from. But predominantly, I now work in Hampshire, Dorset, Wiltshire, and Somerset. They're the four main counties that I get my bread and butter from. But I do also have, as we've discussed before, pending work from a TV company doing a Murder in Mind documentary, which I was filmed. Luckily, they asked me filmed in Bournemouth, which came out recently, which has got a good review. So. And I learnt a lot from information from those guys as well, the professional drone pilots who are teaching me and explaining me to what shots to get. But Monday to Friday, I am doing anything that's predominantly cinematically done through a drone, not FPV, although I do a little bit of it. I admire those guys. Those guys are absolutely... to get their goggles on and do their bits and bobs is phenomenal. I do try it. I do it, but not to a standard that I can charge at this moment. What I like is, because of my media background and my media eye, is knowing what to capture for, whether it's a shoot for a product, a video, social media. I work for county councils, collating videos and content for their media, their new websites and stuff that happens throughout the year. I do work for marketing businesses, which makes up most of my work, where I go and work for marketing companies who want a drone pilot to come in, shoot something for them and provide that service. It varies from day to day. Last week I was filming tarmacking being laid on the Itchen Bridge in Southampton for Balfour Beatty. I'm in at 2:30 a.m, freezing my gonads off. But sometimes you get some fantastic shoots. But when we talk a bit more, you'll find out that I'm one of these people that knock on doors, send emails, ask on and on and on. We talked before last week about Longford Castle has been there for the 1600s, whatever it is, and I am still the only pilot, the only person ever in the history of drone history to be asked to fly there. And the place is stunning. It's absolutely gorgeous, because I kept persevering, I kept asking, and I showed them other places that I've done. And eventually found out, okay, fine, just do it, John. So I was there for the whole day. So one of the things you'll learn from me is that I don't give up. I'll work the hours, and I'm not afraid to knock on doors and go and speak to people, which you've got to do nowadays.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge message, right, to get through to people, and it's something that we try and push all the time, because there is a temptation now, I think, to think, especially with the demographic and the psychographic, the type of people we see generally coming into the drone industry. A lot of people tend to come into it and think that it's going to be this panacea almost of business, where you can come in and you can make money without doing that much work. But to be honest, it's a business like any other business. You have to have effectively, without putting a name on it, potentially, you have to have a system where you can get seen by people and generate traffic. You've got to have a way to convert that traffic into leads. You've got to have a way to nurture those leads and turn them into clients. And then you've got to have a way to deliver whatever it is that you've promised to them, over deliver if you can, and delight them so that they come back or refer you in the future. That is the system for any business. It's not just for drones, right? If you look at any journey that you go on, that is the system. So we're not teaching something new. It's just a lot of people, I think, just expect that the phone's going to ring. So on that then,
Can I
go
just,
on, sorry.
I'll make on this is that it's a very valid point. I think that's one of the things that's helped me over the years. And I was given this information from a photographer, and he said to me 3-4 years ago, whatever footage you take, whatever photos you take, if you want to earn a recurring revenue, and we'll talk about recurring revenues in a minute, but he says, go to Adobe, go to Shutterstock, go to these places. It's not big money. It takes about 6 months to grow them, but over a period of 6 months, I kept putting my photographs and videos onto these platforms. And at the moment, I am the bestseller in America for Stonehenge. Every day I wake up and I get emails from Stonehenge, from Shutterstock saying, you've got $10, you've got $20. So I'm getting a
Nice.
recurring revenue. It's not much.
Yep.
But if we look at the business model, and one of the things that I do is that I use my portfolio, whether it's videography or whether it's photographs, to get a retainer. And when I talk to you a minute about working with marketing companies and media companies, when they have access to all my media, they pay a retainer for that. And it's like, we talked about this before. It's like when you go to McDonald's and they used to have cups, and it was, how as much as you want? Refills, refill, refill, refill. The first time you do it, you come out, you go, oh, and you burp for half a day, but you don't do it again. So when you offer the service of people having use or access to your photography and whatever, they don't abuse it. They really don't, and the proof's in the pudding for that. But the client then remains loyal because they've got access to everything that you do on top of the work they give to you anyway. So I have 4 clients now that pay me a retainer. That
Okay.
pays my bills.
Nice.
So I don't get money coming from him from Adobe and Shutterstock. That's nice. Not a lot. It's not, it, it won't pay for the petrol, but lots of other income streams that you can gain from them. And I think the critical thing is that if you're running a business and your next meal is going to be your next client, yeah, that can keep you keen and keep you focused, but you need to have some sort of recurring revenue as and where possible, because the value of a business, we talked about the companies that I've run over the last 20 odd years, is that the value of businesses is about recurring revenue, contractual things that you have, especially if someone's coming and buy you. Not going to happen, but those are sort of business ethics you need to have in place to make sure you do the right things.
Yeah, big time. So on that then, like the kind of tying those two things together, then you mentioned the previous businesses, and it sounds as though a lot of the lessons maybe that you've learned from those previous businesses. You've mentioned about the annual recurring revenues, the actual thing that provides or delivers value to the business itself, which is why you've managed to, or kind of worked hard by the sounds of it, to get people onto a retainer kind of set up and give them access to the whole library of things that you've shot. How does that tie into what you were saying originally about, being persistent, being tenacious, going and knocking on doors? And I was saying, like, people tend to come into this industry, it seems, and think that people are going to come to them. But actually,
Very good point.
those who do really well have this system in place where, if I'm honest, I say system because it sounds good and it gives people something to hang their hat on. But if I'm honest, it's a way of it. All it is a way of going out and knocking on doors and going in and seeing people. Because actually turning up nowadays to somebody and saying, "Hey, this is me. This is what I do. Here's an example," or "Here's a tin of biscuits. Give me a call when you might want to have a look at this website," is so powerful now because it just doesn't happen. So, how have you found your previous business experience has tied into what you do now, if that makes sense, in the drone space?
Makes perfect sense, and I think that one of the things that you've highlighted before in Variety or your podcast that resonate with me about the red bean, blue bean, and all those sort of things
Yep.
is that it does those skills do transfer to all industries in all ways. And we haven't got time to go through my background of businesses, but I have run variety of companies, whether it's 1 million, 5 million, 10 million. And my previous one before that, I was a salesman, straightforward salesperson. I was on commission only, cold calling, and door knocking. All right. Now, to do that with no basic wage for 15 years means that you got something as a salesperson, and you've got to be able to go out and knock on doors. And what I like about the drone industry is that not many people will slam the door in your face. I'm not coming around saying, "Hey, I'm a Jehovah's Witness." Nothing against Jehovah's Witnesses, by the way, but I'm not saying insurance or whatever. People, if you show them something that you've got, they go, "Oh, what's that?" It's that first 2, 3 seconds you've got them in there. So I think that the first thing any drone pilot should be aware of is that you're not going to get the door slammed in your face. And I think that's quite important. I also have, and all the people on the drone show live and all my mates and friends, they take the mick out of me, right? But I have thousands of business cards. And wherever I go, I'm on a shoot, I'm on a boat, I'm doing that, I'm handing them out, and I get
Nice.
work. Oh, you're the guy from the, oh yeah, can you come do this for me, or can you do a wedding? And we'll talk about weddings and roof inspections that I don't do any of them. But, I started off with a website with everything. I mean, I first started
Standard. Yeah.
3 years ago. I'd done anything for you. But now I just do cinematic, social media and a variety of other things as well. But no, I don't do weddings. I don't do that. But one of the things that I transferred the skill sets from the previous businesses is that I will knock on doors. I will walk up to people. I will talk to people. So, for example, if I'm doing a video shoot for a client and I'm working, next minute I see the client's competition over there. I'll just take a few photographs, come back and carry on working. I'll take those pictures away. I'll go knock on the door, say, "Oh, out of interest, your competition are doing this, this, and this. I took a photograph of that. Do you want a conversation?" They go, "Mm." I say, "Look, at this time, I'd simply welcome the opportunity of meeting with you. May I do that?" So it's about getting that meeting, not trying to sell something. Once you get that meeting, then you walk in. And I've got this big A4 book, and it's worked well, not failed yet. I won't not say I work for everybody, but I do a lot of photography within the drone part of it, all the places that I go to, and built this nice A3 book. And what I do is I walk in, I've got my bag, few bits and bobs, good morning, shake hands, smile, sit down, and I put the book down right in front of them. I said, "That's the book about the picture stuff. I'll just get my stuff out." And while you're doing that, they always pick the book up. They go, "Oh," they go, "Oh my God. Oh, what a oh, done. My job's done."
Nice.
And if I'm there for the cinematic part of it, the videography, the photography, the thing where the scroll stopping happens, because I always get, how do we get people to stop scrolling through all the bloody things all the time? And people say to me, "What do you do?" Well, a lot of it is to do with content. A lot of it's to do with timing and so on. People say to me, "Well, how many views do you get on your TikTok account?" I said, "Well, I'm just below 3 million. So I can prove it." They go to my account, have a look. My first one's pinned 1.1 million, 100,000, 200,000. So the videography that I do, the work that I do does get the traction. It does work. And when you're talking to clients and they see that, they go, "I want a bit of that. I want someone to stop on my thing." The problem at the moment is that I sell the reverse engineered Canva sell. I'll sit down on a podcast, not a pod, on a networking event, and then we're all there. I go, "Well, at the moment on Instagram, it's an advert for Canva, because you all use Canva. You all
Yep.
use you see the same Christmas tree, the same baubles all across there. It's simple, it's cheap, and it's easy. But what you want is something different, a different angle. Well, get a drone up and do this and stuff like that." So I have joined 2 networking clubs, businesses in Bournemouth.
Okay.
One's got about 500 members, one's got about 200 members. In the first month on both of them, I picked up 10 orders.
Interesting.
So if you're a drone pilot, get out, go and join a networking club, go and talk there, because in there are going to be businesses. All right, you're going to get accountants, you're going to get lawyers, you're going to get your will writers, you're going to get, but apart from that, you're then going to get people who do have social media companies, business companies, media, and they don't have drone pilots. Most of them don't. The bloke who might sit in the office with a Mini Pro 2, he might fly around, but he's not going to do what you do. So I go in there with my book and the business cards, and I always go, "Oh, what? Hang on a second," and I give them examples. And if you give them examples of what you're doing and how you do it, it resonates with them going, "Yeah, my client could benefit from that." So I try and add value to them I don't take their clients. I have value to the business that I work for. They then go to their client and then do it that way. But as you know, I've only been doing this, what, 6 months now professionally, full time. I had a lucky break. If you want to talk about a lucky break, you can do, but it doesn't, that lucky break doesn't change the hard work that I put in 2 years previously about
Yes.
the fundamentals of going, talking, knocking on doors. Because before that, my lucky break, I was still busy. I was still earning money. But now, after the lucky break, my name was everywhere, and and the rest is history.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because there's so many important, so many nuggets. Like, if you're going to go and if you didn't catch the 5 or 6 little nuggets there that John
Oh,
dropped in that couple of minutes, go back and listen again. Like, if you're on the treadmill or something, just scroll back and listen to that little section again, because there are so many things in there. The whole, as we said, and it comes back to that system again, right? It's getting out there, it's building the leads, it's generating that kind of interest and intrigue. It's little things as well that you pulled out. Like, I love that idea of having the A3 photo book. That's really clever, because that is it's a pattern interrupt is what we would call it, right? Is that people haven't seen that before. They would just go, oh, and like you say, they would then go and look at things like TikTok and go, oh, okay, and you get that immediate social proof and the credibility. There are so many little tiny
yeah.
business lessons that you've just dropped there, like as if it's nothing, that actually is the key to success. And you just alluded to it, right? You had this lucky break, but I would go so far as to say there's no such thing as luck in business. You get people who are lucky, and you get people who are overnight successes. But actually, that's come that you got this lucky break that we'll talk about in a second, because you had spent 18 months to 2 years putting in the work. You've been putting things on TikTok and growing a following. You've been doing the drone show live every single week for years. You've been watching other people's show reels, and that's something else that's amazing. Your show reel on your YouTube channel is one of the best kind of small drone media show reels that I've seen in a long time, because the shots are great. They're all well put together. It's well edited. The music suits the purpose, and do you know what I mean? And it's timed well. And I think all of that comes because you've put that work in the background over a long time and just plugged away at
Like
it.
we also said though, yeah, is that I also look at other people, learn, and we should never stop learning. And I know that people who may watch this the drone show live, and they will back me up on this, and that is that when I'm watching other creators and their videos and stuff, and it comes back up, and we talk, say, yeah, lovely video, I go, I love that idea. I'm gonna nick that. Oh, I love that one. And I do, because there are some people out there that come up with some fantastic ideas, or the music, the way the transition works, and those sort of things. And I go, I love it. I'm going to nick it to their face, but they take it as a compliment because it
Yes.
is. And I think that one of the things that you need to have, and you just alluded to it, which is as a good show reel. And the show reel that I've done is that it took me a long time to choose the music, but the music came to me from a fellow presenter from the drone show live, and the way that the shots come in, the shots are there specifically for a potential client to look at it. It's not a show off to say, well, I filmed here, I filmed there. It's irrelevant. It's about showing somebody going, can I visualize this in my business, selling my products or in social media to stop someone scrolling? And people watch it, and the numbers show that the videos that are watched now, and the people stay and watch to the very end. So we know that we've got that capture, we know we've got that, but it takes time, it takes deliverance, it takes, to understand where your clients are going. So my show reel is only designed for my market space. Okay, yeah, not FPV, not weddings, it's just the marketplace that I go to. So when I walk in, they can either go on their PC screen and sit. They've either checked you out before they've come out, or a lot of people now when they walk out of a meeting, you walk out that door, they got your card. What's the first thing they do? Oh, we'll check this guy out. And if you can't back up what you've just said, you've lost all credibility.
Lost it.
So
Yeah.
be honest. Tell people the truth. Tell people where you are, what you're trying to do, and it pays back so many times.
Yeah, it really does. It's one of the biggest questions actually that I get from people all the time. So I run coaching, coach a lot of people, and one of the biggest questions that I get asked. In fact, no, probably now the biggest question, aside from what drone should I get, which is impossible to answer unless you know what someone wants to do and what their client needs, is what shots should I do for my show reel? And it's like, right, again, you need to know who your client is. You need to know what's going to pattern interrupt, not the microphone, pattern interrupt their scroll or whatever it might be. What's going to work for them and tell them a story that they can see themselves in, or that they can see their business in. But the best way is exactly what you've done by the sounds of it, and what you guys do so well on the Drone Show Live is look at other people's show reels and the work other people are doing, because that is the best way to find the music that's going to work for you. Exactly what you've just said. The way that, like, oh yeah, I like those shots, and find 10 show reels that you like, find the one piece of music that you think, oh yeah, that's going to work for my clients, and take, like, literally storyboard it on a piece of paper and go, right, I need these 30 shots for a 2-minute show reel. 5 seconds, whatever it works out at, 2 or 3 seconds each. I need these 30 shots, plan it out, go out and shoot them, job done. Like, I don't know. It's just, that to me makes total sense.
One thing I did learn as well is that when I was talking to, when I first started off and started working with a company in Brighton to do these Murder in Mind TV programs, I was talking to other drone pilots, and they said, "Oh, John, go to Bournemouth, go and do this for us, go and film here." But the thing that stuck in my mind was the drone pilot or the producer went, "John, don't do anything fancy. We don't want anything fancy, up, down, flip, flop." But he says, "I want you to go start, film the scene for us, stop, send the file." That's it. And it's like, and I've now seen the cut, the edit. I've now seen the program, and you get it. You go, and the bloke went, he says, "You actually," he says, "I'll cut a long story short." He goes, "It was quite funny because when you sent your shots in for the video, you sent in 50 more. We only asked for 12. You gave us 62. I said, "Oh," I said, "I was there, so I did some more shots, and I did some slow motion of the water hitting the pier, all these bits and bobs." And I spoke to the company. It must have been a day or so after. They're saying, "Oh, John, you're the talk of the bloody office, you are." I said, "But the producers binned his shots and used yours." So I'm like, okay, fine. But I learned that sometimes doing a show reel, doing something for clients, you don't have to pull something out of the bag that's totally mind blowing, unless it's maybe, I guess, with FPV going through bits and bobs
Yeah.
and carb. So it needs to fit the client.
Yes.
Understanding your client, your target market. And that's where I think when you and I first started really talking was the blue beam, red beam, because I'd done their website, on my website was everything. I was
Yes.
filming this, road sweeping, whatever. But actually, you don't need to do that. You've got to focus on one part of the element, do it well, focus your company on that, your show reel, what you do. And believe me, if people listen to this, you get scared thinking, "Oh, I'm not doing weddings, I'm not doing roofs, I'm not just please focus on one element of the business in the drone sector, do it well, and it does pay dividend." And the rest is history after what happened to me in July.
Big time. That's it. For anyone who is, if you're watching this, by the way, if you're not watching it, go and watch it on YouTube. Rather than listening on Spotify. But for anyone who's listening and wondering what John's on about with the red jelly bean and blue jelly bean thing, I've done a video, it's like 7 minutes long, something like that, about, are you a red jelly bean or a blue jelly bean as a drone pilot? And I'm holding up my little pint glass of red jelly beans to remind me, it sits on my desk, to remind me to be a blue jelly bean as much as I can. But no, that's perfect, mate. So this lucky break you had then, right? You were doing all this work in the background. You were getting some work coming in, getting some inquiries and leads, doing your networking piece, building up that credibility as well, so that as and when something did work, you were there and able to back it all up. But this is the big thing. Like, for me, you've done all that groundwork, you've put all the hard work in, and you, like everyone that I always speak to, you, it turns out, were one lucky moment, one lucky drone flight and shot, and one different thought pattern away from breaking out of what you were doing to all of a sudden being all over the world, millions of views. Is it billions of views now? I don't know.
It was 9:30, July 9th, in Port Harbour filming for my new client called Coastal Cruises. And I set a new YouTube channel for them. I was videoing all their boats, all their cruises. They're a lovely company, beautiful company to work for. And I'm looking up at the horizon going, hang on a second, what's that? It looks like Poole is on fire. It's a massive fire, yeah. And I'm going, it can't be. Anyway, we came back to the harbour, and this fire was massive. It was about 10 miles away at Holt Heath. And I got in my car and I was knackered. I thought I'll just go home for a cup of tea. I saw it in my head called Captain Conscience went, no, you won't. No, you won't. Go and film it. I'm like, I want to go home. It's football. It's Saturday. I want to go and film it. I thought, okay, so obviously you've got to be careful. So before we say anything else, distances, health and safety, airports, you know, I got a lot of abuse from people, some senior people saying, you should have done that. I was 3 miles away. I flew 1 mile in. I had visual line of sight, times it by 7. So if you look at the footage, you'll see that I was actually nowhere near interfering with anybody. So just get that clear, because there's a couple of people that have been on my case saying I should have done that, but I don't care because it got me where I wanted to be. But anyway, I filmed it, and I then got home. I then did a couple of minute segments and went Control Alt, sent all to Sky News, BBC, ITV, everyone. Okay, yeah. Anyway, so my phone never stopped ringing, and it was on mainstream TV, on all the news channels, on their website. So I put Sky News on. There was Donald Trump and my fire.
Amazing.
I'm like, okay. And everyone said to me, "How much money do you want for it?" I went, "Nothing." I said, "Every time you use my footage, stunning drone, because I knew that they're going to use it more than once because of what it was and the size of the fire, and it was very prevalent to the current time of the year because there was fires everywhere. Everyone was talking about fires. So anyway, so 24 hours later, all right, having been on every news channel, all right, and my name was everywhere, I looked at it and thought, how much would it cost me to pay to get my name on every single TV channel, okay, yeah, across the UK, 8 times a night, every night for 5 nights, right? The money it would cost me thousands. It would never happen anyway. But anyway, I got everywhere. So all the video and footage was put on Facebook, and my brother had a look at the numbers across the channels and whatever. He gave up about 24 million views. And across not just mine, but all the channels sort of thing. That wasn't Instagram, TikTok, just Facebook alone. And I think by the time he carried on, he gave up at 36 million after the week of actual views across all the channels and stations. And so that footage went viral. But the funny thing is that my name was on someone's table, had been there for some time, that I'd been pestering nicely. And it was at a company called Back to Back Productions. And I had a phone call a week later from one of the producers saying, I won't swear, he goes, "I've seen your name everywhere. It's all over TV." He goes, "I think I should be talking to you, shouldn't I?" I went, "Yeah, okay, fine." And that's when he gave me the Bournemouth Murder in Mind job.
Right.
From that, I've also got a second series now to film. So I'm gonna film every murder scene for the TV program south of the M4. But from that, I got this job, that job. I've seen your name, and it was everywhere. But because I'd done the hard work and had it in plan, obviously I had all my drones, I've got a Pocket 3, I've got every possible conceivable bit of software all ready to go. I could run, I could say, yeah, kid, what do you want? When do you want it? How do you want it? And away you went. But I was careful. There was a lot of stuff that came in that was just dross that people just didn't want to do, which I sort of cherry picked a little bit of. But my mindset was always about recurring revenue. If I'm my client, it's not about what I've just sold you, it's what I can sell you on and on and on. And it's about using that client to gain advantage. But one of the things I also looked very carefully at was, could I actually deliver what they wanted? And sometimes you look at it and go, that's an FPV job, flying through that, do that, through the helper. I'd give work out to somebody else and get business back. So
Nice.
what I've now have is that part of we talk about the business model, I now have strategic relationships with other people in the country, right? That maybe I can't help them, right? And I go, hey, here's a bit of work. They go, John, for it. I think, and 6 months later, John, can you do that film for us? Yeah, fine, okay. So from the background that I had is that you build relationships with other pilots, and if you do a good job, they'll come back, and it helps each other out, because sometimes you don't want to drive 6 hours to Newcastle to film, a bridge when your client says, "I need that bridge filmed." You go. So I've just signed a contract. I can't name names, but I just signed a contract with a very large sports company doing marathons, half marathons, supernova marathons, and they want all their shots filmed. And then bear in mind, I'm in Bournemouth, and their
Yeah.
next one in Stirling.
Okay.
Right? Hey, got a drone show live. We've got, 6, 7, 800 pilots that we know of that we can talk to at any time, and there are some
Yes.
decent pilots that I can tap into and speak to. So I said to the guy, "This is what I've got available. This is the structure." And he goes, "John," he says, "so far you've provided me with solutions, no headaches, and only answers to my questions. Here's the contract for next year." So
Yes.
2026, I've got the contract. So he's also given me the media rights on the drone footage. So I'm now talking to large sponsors to sponsor the drone footage for every race. Now, if you're in sport, whatever, there's a variety of people that you can go to, but it's about delivering the videos for those particular races, and we can do that in a variety of ways. So I've got a good network. I've got some good guys in Manchester, other parts of the UK as well. So it's about growing that and having people that you can rely on. I know one of your chaps was on, one of our chaps on there before, talking about a variety of things in Manchester, and we have conversations about a variety of things, and we help each other out. And I think that's important as well, that you can have that conversation. Don't be insular. Don't be just no, just me. I'm not going to talk to nobody. That doesn't do you any favors whatsoever. But to cut a long story short, after the fire, there's multi-millions of views, people coming to me, contacting me, and it's just grow and grow from there. So I'm like 6 months on now from that fire. I didn't start it, by the way. I had an alibi. I was at sea
I was out. Yeah.
in the harbour. I got asked. No, got checked out. What are you doing that? Anyway, so, but it's nice when the BBC phone up and say, "Can you go back and do 4 months on?" So
Yes.
now we've got TV studios coming back saying, "We now want to revisit this fire. We want to see what's happened," and so on. But a lot of it for me doing that work is that I will look at the stories and I'll send them to the BBC, to local press, and they run with it. Now, I get nothing from it, not paying me for that, but what it does is keeps my name every week, every month in the newspaper, in the press. So for example, my good friend Tony at the Drone Show Live, we talked about the Alan Titchmarsh show on Sunday morning, and I sent my footage in. Last Sunday, Alan Titchmarsh played my footage and said my
Nice.
name and that sort of thing. But it's just little bits and bobs everywhere. You keep it going, keep it moving forward. But I can't emphasize business cards, knock on doors, see people, get your book done, make sure your website does what it says it's on the tin. Um, Networking businesses. Go to your local networking company. Go and sit there, bring a drone, and they go, "Oh, it's a drone! Wow, that's it. You got them." What do? And the scroll stopping footage, send it through to them, and you got a new client. Because I know one of your podcasts you talked about get a business in 30 days, get your first order in 30 days. I mean, wow. There's a variety of ways that we've talked about that you can do that within 3 hours.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, that's it. And I think, to be honest, like the sentiment behind when I teach that kind of stuff is fundamentally get out there and speak to people. Don't wait for people to come to you, because for all the reasons you've said, people are very receptive to it actually. And you'll be like, oh no, these estate agents in my town, they've all got someone who does their stuff already. And it's like, yeah, they might have, but you know what? They might never have met that person because they've done it on the phone, or not even, they did it through an email and they just use that same person every time. Actually go and start a relationship with those people. Take them a Christmas card, whatever it might be, and with a photo of the town that you've taken from your drone. Like, that's a cool thing. Customize it, put the work in, and you'll get the rewards, right? And I think that's the big kind of takeaway, if you like. It's interesting you mentioned about the business card piece. It's quite an old school way of doing things all of a sudden, isn't it? But again, that old school piece really does work. We had Ollie Dickinson on the podcast a couple of episodes ago, if people are listening to these in order, and Ollie did exactly the same. He had his first job, ironically, out at sea, I think he's near Poole or somewhere as well, but he was out at sea, gave someone a business card, 6 weeks later, I think it was the creative director for IBM Europe contacted him and said, could you do this? He said yes. Next thing he knows, there's 300 million views on the video that he's done for IBM with his name on. And you're like, what? Just from handing out a business card. And I'm not saying it's that easy or that simple, right? But if you haven't got it and you're not putting yourself out there, and that was the big takeaway from him saying it was,
But the
you
thing
know,
is, though, it's not. We could isolate one thing, actually business cards. Well, if that's going to be your solution, then you're going to fail. What it's going to be is the website up to date? Is your own? I mean, what frustrates the hell out of me is I talk to certain. And again, I don't know why people come to me, but a lot of new drone pilots say, "John, can you give us some advice?" And I give them some advice, and they ignore my advice, and you go, why would I bother wasting my 2 hours giving you advice? You're not going to listen to me.
yeah,
But anyway, so I now try and ignore idiots. You can't teach stupid. But, if people want to listen to that. So it's going to be about business cards, website, knocking on doors. It's going to be a cumulative work. And if you do that within a short period of time, something somewhere will come in. And business cards may be old school, and people take the mick out of me. They laugh at me. We were walking through London, and I can get proof of this, okay, yeah? We were walking from a shoot in London, from the Tower Bridge, at 3 a.m. in the morning, and no word of a lie, we looked on the ground, and one of the guys I was with picked up one of my old business cards.
no way.
I give it to somebody, they go on, thrown it away. Or what they might do now is get their iPhone out, take a photograph of it, then throw it away. But yeah, those sort of stories will always stick against me,
That's
but I
funny.
won't change because we talked about paper, we talked about print, we talked about handouts. If you put on if you go to a networking club and you have 50 people in the room, right, you're not going to get around to talk to all of them. Doesn't happen, yeah? Normally you move tables and you talk to 5 per table. But I walk in with a leaflet saying, "Hi, studying drone," and I put pictures on there. Brilliant pictures, Stonehenge, whatever, If this excites you, give me a shout. I'm in the room, find me. And talk, "Was this you?" "Yeah." "Oh, can you help me with this, this, and this?" So my
Nice.
bits of paper are doing my networking for me whilst I'm sat over there or over there. And one of the things I've been asked to do is that in April, I will do a presentation to everybody with the drones. And we're going to arrange a location where we have 50 people turn up, not in a business meeting, not there for breakfast, but in a field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get your wellies on.
Well, and do do some filming and show them, have a little play around, because then you see they get it, they see it, they go, right, bloody hell. Whenever you show someone the screen that walks up to your controller, they're always impressed by the height, the look, the way it feels, and it's about having that time to interact with people and get that person on board for you.
It
It
is.
does work.
No, absolutely, mate. It's yeah. Like I say, it's not. There's not one thing that's going to be kind of the magic bullet in this. That there isn't. That isn't the case in any business, as far as I'm aware, because there's always those different pillars with the sales piece, the marketing piece. You've got to do the product delivery, all that sort of stuff. I mean, we could go on for hours talking about this, right? Because I want to get into like things like cost of acquisition of a
I
customer
just say
and all
one
that. But
thing.
yeah,
I think one thing that does work for me, and I think we mentioned it before we came on air, is that when I do these marketing bits and bobs, I'm not selling the product, I'm selling the appointment. So I simply say, "At this time, I'd simply welcome the opportunity to meet with you. May I do that?" They go, "Okay then." Then I go away, do my research, have my pattern ready to go, and go and see them. I would never try and sell them that product or service there and then. It's about getting that appointment, then meet that person, and then deliver a polished professional setup. Because obviously, as I explained to you before, my business model primarily is of trying to get this recurring revenue and
yeah.
retainers.
So on that then, because we only got a few minutes left now, but very quickly, would you be happy to just explain what your business model looks like just a brief overview of it? Because you've mentioned it a few times now about how you try and because the most expensive part, and this is important for everyone to understand, the most expensive part generally of any business, particularly the businesses that we're in, is acquiring a customer. We call that CAC, or cost of acquisition of a customer. And the ideal is you pay that cost of acquisition of a customer once, right? And it might not be a physical cost. Like for me, creating these podcasts. It doesn't cost me physically anything to do that, but this is one of the primary ways I acquire my customers. But it costs me a lot in time and the equipment to have it all set up and outreach to people like yourself to get you to come on. Like, so there's always a cost of acquisition of a customer. And the ideal then is once you've paid, say it's £100, $100 to acquire a customer, in whatever form that looks like, you never have to pay to acquire them again if you can keep them as a customer, right? So it's
Let me
about,
give you 2 examples because we're
yeah,
time, yeah? Let me give you real examples, real cost and real benefit. So therefore, no one can say, "Oh,
perfect.
you made it up," whatever, okay, real one. So the first one, I won't mention the company name, but I'll tell you who they are, okay, yeah? But they are a marketing company that work for a county, that work for all the companies in that county. So they will go around and specifically produce marketing campaigns or social media accounts for all their clients. So I went into them saying, "Here you go." I gave her some videos. I actually used one of my videos, and one of my videos was called 17 Places to Fly Your Drone in Dorset. I changed it. I put their logo on it. I went 17 amazing places to view in Dorset. Sent it to
Nice.
her. She put it on her Facebook page, and she had 500,000 views. Boom. Snap.
Amazing.
So she then gave me 10 towns to film, this to film, that to film. I said, look, rather work on that, let's do a retainer. With a retainer, you have access to my database. Now, most of my database in photography and videography is in the towns and cities that she works. So she's going, well, I can have all that. I went, yep. It's there. Use it for make money out of it. So therefore, I sent it through to them. They went brilliant, fine. They pay. I won't tell you how much, but they pay a retainer every month, and they use me to go and film certain things like the illuminations at Abbotsbury Gardens in Dorset near Yeovil. They phone up, John, can you film this? I go and film it, do a video. But then you see, I'm looking. Well, do you want it for your website to the actual client? They go,
Yeah.
yeah. So I then sell them a copyright at 250 for the video. I've already shot it, I've done it. All I've got to do is take my logo away, put their logo, and it's done. I then
Yeah.
go to the
Nice.
people who do the illuminations in Dorset, and they go, "Can we have a copy of the video?" I said, "Well, for 250, you have the video itself for your own site with your logo." Really? So I've got 500 quid for doing 11 minutes work. That's one client. Okay. Second client is a county council who I've worked with locally with, commissioned for the carnivals and working with the cathedral. I filmed inside the cathedral, but I kept working, kept talking to the council. And I said, look, your website's awful. Your pictures are all pixelated. You've got no video. And eventually, we got a new town lady come in. She went, I know it's wrong, John, but I said, here you are. Here's everything I've got on the city on a hard drive. Now, people look at me and go, you're bloody mad, you are. Well, a week later, I'm now retained for the whole year for every event, everything in that county, and their new website and their new everything.
Interesting.
So sometimes you give a little. I'm not saying, but you give a little, you dangle that carrot, you prove that you can do what you say you can do, and show them how you can improve what they got. You go, "This is what you got, this is what I can do, this is where I can take you." They can visualize that journey, away you go. Sorry, but yeah, those are two real specific, real clients that both retain, so I'm both retained on those clients for 2026.
Love it. Thank you for sharing. That's it's really interesting. I think the three big takeaways from the conversation that we've had so far then are put the effort in because it is going to pay off and you'll stand out because no one nowadays puts the effort in. That's the
Absolutely.
first big one. The next one will be build relationships. And then I think the final one is probably, it seems from what you've said to me so far as though playing the medium to long term game actually is far more beneficial than just going for short wins over and over and over again. Those are the three things that I would take away.
Well, having run other businesses before, all right,
Yeah.
is that if I could only give anyone a golden nugget in the drone, and bear in mind, I've only been doing this 6 months, but going back to other business models and so on, okay, yeah, it's the two things that I look for is the long game and the recurring revenues. If you can get a long-term business relationships with people, get them on board with a recurring revenue, you'll do well. Yes, still do your £100, £200, £500 jobs. I'm not saying don't do that whatsoever. But if you can get your 4 or 5 recurring paying clients every month, you've paid your bills. The rest is what I call slush fund bunts money. But I know it's not easy. I know that I'm slightly different from other drone pilots because I ain't scared. I'll pick the phone up and as the drone show people will tell you, I've got into places to film that no one else has. No one else has ever filmed. And they go, "How'd you do it?" I send nice emails, I'm perseverance, and I send them work of their competition or other people. So we talked about Longford Castle. I sent them work from Wilton House, from Bremer House. Eventually he broke. He went, "Okay then, if they've got it, I want it." Simple as that. So don't ever give up. Just keep going. Don't be rude. Don't be disrespectful. Remain professional, but just don't ever give up because at the right time, the problem is that we talk about calculated purchases and emotional purchases. A lot of what we do at the spur of the moment when we're showing people information and videography, whatever, there can be a lot of emotional purchases, and you've got to be ready to capture that business and deal with it there and then. So you've got to know what your rate card is, what your price is. If someone turns around and goes, "Right, how much for 2 days for doing that, that, and that?" Bang, 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 bang. That's what I can do for you. That's how I deliver it.
Yeah,
So yeah,
love it.
recurring revenue, recurring consumption, and play the long game.
Play the long game and build your relationships, mate. It's been absolutely fascinating chatting. You and I could and have, and will, I'm sure, spoken. We could speak for hours about this kind of stuff, right? And I hope at some point we do. Maybe we get, if people want it, let us know in the comments. We'll do a long form, or we'll do a
We'll do it on the
workshop
drone
or
show
something
live.
together.
We will do an hour show on the drone show live in January where we can pick up on this and maybe get
Perfect.
some other pilots to ask you and interrogate you
The
about
hard
your
questions.
yeah. Well, I think you'll find if we do that, you'll get a lot of people that want to ask questions. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that as well in the new year.
That's it. Well, listen, that's John Parsons. Thank you ever so much for joining us, mate. Stunningdrone.com. I'll drop your links down below to your TikTok and all of that sort of stuff. It's absolutely
Well, I'm close
amazing.
to
Go
1,000
and
on
look.
YouTube.
And YouTube as well. Yeah. Drone Show live as well every Wednesday at 8 o'clock UK time. Go and check out what John's doing, because as he's been very open with, it's been quite recent. The kind of explosion in the work amount, the volume of work that you've been sent. And that is kind of, that's what we want. That's what people are clamoring for. And if you're looking for that, go and model, never copy someone, go and model exactly what John's done. But no, John, thanks ever so much, mate. It's been a pleasure. I'm Matt Williams. This is the Drone Business Show. I'll catch you on the next one. But until then, fly safe and blue skies.